Hello, everyone. How's it going, guys? I am popping in here. I don't know how long we'll stay on. I've been wanting to go live. I had I was home with my kids for, the last however long because of a long weekend from school between the Monday holiday and they had Friday off. So it was tough for me to get in here to record, but I am back now and I wanted to just chat a little bit about for some reason, a lot of my stuff is not getting pushed. I think I know why, but a lot of it's not getting pushed out, probably because of certain terminology that I'm going to try and refrain from using. But because of that, I think that a lot of my stuff isn't getting pushed out as much as it was before, but maybe a live will help. So depending on how much traffic we have coming in here, we'll see how long I stay on. But there were a few things that I wanted to chat about because I did just make 2 videos that I found really interesting, but they're not really getting pushed out very much. So I wanted to talk live on here to hopefully just get it out again. I have no idea if it's important. It probably isn't, but hey, who am I? Um, but I was digging into the attorney that's representing Tyler Robinson, and it's been said numerous times online that one of them is the cousin of Terrell Farnsworth, who is the one who made that weird ass video on, um, right after Charlie was assassinated, where he held the camera up and did a selfie video. Supposedly, one of the attorneys for Tyler Robinson is this person's cousin, which, I mean, if that's the truth, I'm sorry, but I don't know how you can't step in. I don't know how this just goes. How is that not interference of some kind? I don't know. I'm not an attorney. What do I know? But I had tried to do some digging into it. I had gone as far as, signing up for one of those, people search websites where you can, pay to, get people's information, and it usually will show you, relatives and stuff. I'm not finding anything, right? I couldn't find anything. But if I did the search, it did come back online with, um it came back with multiple posts, X posts or Facebook posts that said that his cousin is the attorney Michael, Burt. Burt, Burt, I believe. Let me just double check. Pretty certain that's what it is. And, let me just make sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Burt, Michael Burt. So Michael Burt is supposedly the cousin of Terrell Farnsworth, right? Who is associated with TPUSA. And I had been digging into Michael Burt to try and get a connection. Maybe, Terrell Farnsworth is clearing internet information on himself and we can't find it, right? So I went the other route. I couldn't find much on this guy either, which also is a little bit interesting, other than the cases he's tried. Now, I could find quite a few of those, and those are what piqued my interest, but I found it interesting that given that he has some pretty high profile cases under his belt, that there's no information. I understand maybe he specifically doesn't have his information out there because he doesn't want, obviously when you work in that kind of field, you don't want your personal information. But a lot of times high profile people like that, you'll know who their wife is, you know what I mean? And I wasn't finding very much on this guy. But what I found interesting was he was the so Michael Burt specifically is a death penalty attorney. So there are specific attorneys that specialize in the death penalty, and there's only so many of them. So there's over 200,000 practicing standard attorneys in the United States, but there's only about 1,000 to 3,000 current practicing attorneys that specialize in death penalty cases. So that's a very small pool of attorneys, obviously, in comparison. But what I found interesting was when I started to look into his past cases that he had tried, the first one that stuck out to me was the Menendez brothers. And so he specifically was the attorney for Lyle Menendez. And I know most people know all about this trial, and probably even more than I do. But what I found interesting was some of the connections. So one being that the boys, their father was big in Hollywood, and they specifically, although it was kind of imposed on everyone at the time of the trial that um, they had killed their parents supposedly for inheritance, things of that nature. They still claim to this day that it was actually due to like sexual abuse from their father. So obviously, when you're talking about Hollywood, this is something that unfortunately comes up very often. We all know that. Um, but it's also been coming up a lot, like Candace has said, it's been coming up a lot with this Charlie Kirk investigation. And so I thought that was a little intriguing, I suppose. Not too far outside of like, expectations, I suppose. But I also did find out that their mother, Kitty Menendez, was also a pageant queen, if you will. She won a local, much smaller type pageant in the Chicago area. So not, in Arizona. I did try to actually look in to see if the Menendez family, the father and wife, if there was any connection between the Franceways, because I thought, well, possibly, maybe given the age, they might have had some like crossover with individuals that they associated with. I couldn't necessarily find anything there. But again, the Franceways, specifically Kent Francevy, Erika's father, has very little, and you can find very little information on him. So that makes it hard anyway. I did find it interesting that when the two boys were taken into custody, and formerly accused of the crime of killing their parents, that Eric specifically had been over in the country of our favorite allies, ironically enough, at a tennis tournament or something random, right? I mean, I'm sure like when you're someone who's, frolicking with these people who have a lot of money, you go on trips and stuff. I just found that interesting. Like, it makes me wonder if there was a tennis tournament or if that was really the only reason he was over there, or if it had something to do with people who were, keeping an eye on. I don't know. Who knows? But I found that interesting. So I had made that video and then I kind of wrapped it up. And as soon as I stopped recording, I had thought, you know what, I'm going to look up like any other high profile cases that he's tried, because I didn't think to look that up in the beginning. And wouldn't you know, that same Michael Burt attorney also was the attorney for, let me double check his name, but the individual who committed the mass shooting at the Tree of Life synagogue. Let me find his name really quick. This one, it was like as soon as I disconnected from that video and I read that, I was like, are you kidding me right now? Now, to clarify, obviously, so this was in Pittsburgh. And in 2018, I'm just trying to find his name here because I couldn't remember. Robert Bowers. So in 2018, Robert Bowers had he had gone into the Tree of Life synagogue and shot and killed 11 individuals. So awful, just awful. No one should ever do that, obviously. And I don't have any sympathy for the fact that he's gotten the death penalty. Just to clarify, I am not someone who dislikes anyone for their religious preferences, but I do find it very, very interesting given the things that have come up with Charlie Kirk's case and the potential involvement of that same country. This intrigued me. And so I dug a little deeper because I wanted to know why he did it, or like what the claim was. And because also just the fact that he wasn't killed there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of these mass shootings, the people are killed like on the spot and we don't ever get a reason. And it turns out that he had over 700 posts on this social media app called Gab Social. I've never heard of it. Apparently, it is a social media website that was kind of like an alternative for like Twitter and Facebook for people who were, considered themselves right-wing extremist, or that's, of course, this is what we're told, right? So I have no idea if that's actually what the social media. I created an account because I was trying to go into the Wayback Machine because this guy's profile has been deleted off of this Gab social media platform after everything that happened. So I was hoping to get into the Wayback Machine and see if I could pull up any of his old posts. And I was able to find some, which I did go over in my video, but like I said, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of people who see it. And this is just one of those ones. Listen, I understand that I have no idea. I did a quick Grok search when I had found these connections with this attorney. I had done a quick Grok search because here's what happens, I suppose, with these death penalty attorneys. Typically, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if anybody's in the chat and knows, let me know, but I believe, most of the time, these individuals are selected by, like, the court that's, like, holding the trial, which also makes me question because, A, if we find out that this dude is cousins with Terrell Farnsworth, if we can get confirmation, and that the court knows, and that the court selected him, then it would seem like the court is, being paid off or something, right? Like, that's what it feels like. So it does make me question. But I did have Grok do an analysis in regards to, actually did some screenshots. I had Grok do an analysis given the amount of death penalty attorneys that are practicing in the United States today, the amount of death penalty cases that we see on average in like a rolling annual year, what the odds are that that same attorney would have been the attorney for the Menendez brothers, that Tree of Life synagogue mass shooting, and the Charlie Kirk assassination now. So, given that information, Grok stated, okay, so it says nationwide estimates are not precise. No central registry exists, but based on the rarity of capital expertise, declining death sentences, and reliance on a small circle of experienced panel attorneys and public defenders, the active pool is likely 1,000 to 3,000 active death penalty attorneys basically practicing currently. For elite national level experts like Burt, who handle cross state federal cases, so again, not all of them are going to handle cross state, that narrows the pool of people, perhaps to like 200 to 500. But it still says that that yields the odds of approximately, ready for it, 1 in a million to 1 in 9 million, or 0.00001% to 0.0001% probability that that specific attorney would be selected for these cases. Also, just given the fact that this attorney has been practicing for like over 50 years. So most attorneys that would be like in his timeline of like the years he's practiced have probably retired. Like they're not like, that's what I was thinking too. Like, isn't it a little weird that this guy's like still chugging along? Like, I don't know how old he is, but either way, he was still old enough to be a practicing, well-established attorney back in the late 80s, early 90s. And now he's still getting these high profile cases. Like there's no up and comers that would be like who someone might go to or someone closer to. I don't know. Is it just me? Hey guys, feel free to say hi in the chat. I'm a nice gal. I'm still getting used to the lives, but I really enjoyed it the last time I did it, and I had some great comments and conversation there. I also love just being able to like bounce ideas off people. Hey, thanks for being here. So, yeah, I found this really interesting, and the interesting part earlier, I had done the statistics on this, but I had based it on just the Menendez brothers case and the Tyler Robinson case and what the odds would have been for that, and it was still obviously, it was like 1 out of 1,000 or out of 3,000, and it was like point zero one, oh, point zero 0.03 or point 0 or point 0.1 or something like that, so obviously less, but, even still, Grok said it's still, like, basically said it's still very intriguing and pretty unusual that he got both of these cases. So, I found that interesting. Also, though, that I didn't include in this is that Bert also was the defense attorney for the death penalty for Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. So, these are huge cases, and maybe that is why he got chosen, I suppose. But again, I feel like at some point let's see how old he is, because I am curious. How old is he? I'm just surprised that someone as established, someone as successful as he is still practicing when you've been practicing for so long. How old is attorney Michael Burt? See, this is when I wish that dude, yeah. Okay, this just makes me feel like it's even weirder, okay, you guys? In 1994, when he tried the Menendez brothers case, he was 41. So he would now be in his 70s. So this dude's in his 70s and is being chosen for, like, this case. Does am I the only one that thinks that seems weird? I don't know, like, wouldn't you wanna make sure that the person that you have is, like, sharp and, like, in their best, uh, stage of life for this kind of case, like, especially given the fact that it's such an important case? I don't know, man. Um, I just think that's a little weird. So, um oh, what was I just gonna say? Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I just find it interesting. In regards to the, Tree of Life synagogue mass shooting that took place in 2018, the individual who had committed the crime, um, I had tried to see some of his past posts, and I did pull them up earlier. I was trying to find them now, and a lot of them, I mean, some of them were, just definitely seeming to be racist rants on this, like, Gab social media thing, but some of them were just, like, a lot of what a lot of people are saying right now, that that our greatest allies are infiltrating our government and that they're trying to, control our country and our voices and things like that, and I don't know, man, when you talk about the connections between Charlie Kirk and the assumed potential involvement of that country and the silencing of people trying to speak out, I find it a little interesting that that connection is there. Um, it would be crazy to find out what the, odds would be for this same attorney to have tried Richard Ramirez, the Menendez brothers, and Charlie Kirk, and this mass shooter guy. Mind you, also, the mass shooter he was sentenced to death. So that kind of listen, like, I'm not upset that he was sentenced to death. He killed 11 people. You know, that's hardly even an eye for an eye. But apparently during the trial, Michael Burt had presented evidence of, like, brain scans for this guy showing that he had literal physical, issues with his brain that basically were supposedly proving that he had psychological problems, and he still got the death penalty. And it just makes me wonder where these connections are. Like, is this guy like the person they call when they want a specific outcome? Is that why he's still practicing well into his 70s? Because he's like the go-to guy or something? If they're just being picked and like, like, is it like he gets that call and he's gotta work? I don't know. Is it crazy? Is this just me? I don't know. I found this very interesting. Um, if you guys get a chance, check out the videos that I put up today. Like I said, it's like part 1, part 2. I did 2 back to back because I had realized after this other connection that I wanted to follow up on. Um, and if anybody has information, comment in there and let me know. This is when I wish I was like buddies with Barron Coleman. So I'd be like, "Hey, tell me what you think about this. Do you think that this is like unusual or crazy?" Maybe he'd be like, "Nah, it's not that weird." You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. I feel like it's a little bit weird. And I just want people to be able to see those videos because I want people to know, because I haven't heard anybody talk about that. I've heard people say that this guy is Terrell Farnsworth's cousin, but I haven't seen, and I'm trying to remember exactly who I initially heard it from, because I remember when I heard it, I felt really confident with the individual who was giving the information. Do any of you remember who came out with that in the beginning? Like, I know it's been kind of put all over now, but like I said, when I've tried to verify if that's accurate, I'm not finding anything. Like, I'm just finding, articles saying it's spam, or like the Facebook post, which is like, I obviously I can't, I'm not going to take that as like confirmation for sure that, oh, because Joe Schmo said they're cousins, he definitely is. But it wasn't just somebody. That's why I'm trying to remember. I really need Ian Carroll's program where you can like say, "Hey, did Candace Owens ever talk about Terrell Farnsworth's cousin?" And it'll like just pop up the video right at the right place. That is so cool. I want it so bad. But yeah, so I can't quite remember where I heard it initially. I remember thinking it seemed pretty solid, and now I'm questioning that. But it would be even more interesting for sure if it was confirmed that Michael Burt was cousins with Terrell Farnsworth, and he's like this attorney who's been managing these cases. I don't know. There's also obviously a large age difference between them. So I guess if they were related, it could be potentially like second cousins or something like that. I never remember how that stuff works. Like the second cousins twice removed or something. I've had it explained to me, I think, like 6 times in my life, and I'm like, "Yeah, still don't remember." But, so yeah, I was watching some of Barron's live. He's probably still live because he goes for so long, but, I was watching it earlier while I was putting my son to bed, and, he was talking about Erika Kirk's bizarre facial expressions. And I follow a lot of, like, the body analytic pages, like the behavior panel. I particularly love Chase Hughes. I try and share all of his stuff. I've tried to, do a little bit of content covering some of his videos. It's tough because when you change things up, the algorithm's like, "The fuck are you doing?" And it, like, messes everything up. So, I'm still trying to figure out how to make it like me. But, he was, talking about the event that they had the other night. Actually, speaking of, this whole new, like, tour thing they're doing, I forget what it's called, but he was playing clips, and it's the same stuff she does in everything, and I don't know if it's like, at the beginning, he was talking a lot about kind of, honestly, I'm winging this because I don't really remember exactly what he was saying. I was multitasking. But I believe he was talking about essentially the different facial expressions that all of us make as humans when we're like straight out of the womb. Like, we don't need language. We all have like the same specific reactions to certain things like disdain or things like that. We contempt. We have like the same facial reactions, and they're recognizable even if you don't speak the same language, etc. And so he had been bringing up all of that and talking about all of that, and then went on to show clips from the other night when Erica was talking and the weird eye stuff she does. And I do find it really weird, and I've tried to pick it apart to the point where I'm curious if it's like a trained we all know she's, like, acted, right? And I don't know, where are the people out there who've also watched, like, America's Next Top Model? I used to watch that all the time. And, if you guys watched it, then you would know that, um, Tyra always said you needed to smile with your eyes, like, you had to, like, look serious but smile with your eyes. And, it makes me wonder if it's some sort of learned acting behavior, like when she wants to be taken serious or saying something deep, that she does this sort of because it's like this sort of like squinty almost, but you can see the whites of her eye. It's a very weird thing, I agree. And she does this sort of like looking around, but it almost feels like she's just like, are you buying this? Like that's what it feels like to me. I don't know if it's like he was saying it feels like it's, like, demonic. I don't know how much I believe in all of that. It's just not, I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe in demonic things. I just don't know if I believe in it to that extent. To me, it just feels like a forced emotion, like you're trying to make people see how serious you are by showing it with your eyes, and she does that sort of it's just very weird, and it's very unsettling to watch. And it's weird. I can't think of another person I've watched do it, and she does it so often. Um, but this tour, he had put up, like, the dates that they're coming, and I didn't watch enough. He said he was gonna kinda go into whether he thinks anybody should go to them. There is one that's about an hour from me in, Portland, Maine. I think it's in May 5th, I believe, and I might try to go. I don't know. I'll have to look into it and see, like, yeah, I assume there's a fee or something. I'll have to look into, like, how much it costs and all that jazz, and if I can have someone watch my kids or whatever. But I do think that could be interesting to go watch in person and get, like, recordings. I don't know that she will be there. I have no idea who will be there, but I'm gonna look on their website. Maybe I'll look right now. I don't remember what it's called, though. Let me see if I can find what it's called. No. Oops. Um, Make Heaven Crowded tour. That's it. Yeah, and this is what people have talked about a few times too, and how this is connected to the Harvest Church, which has literal accusations of, like, sex trafficking children, like, active investigations into this church, and they're like, "We'll do it with you. You guys are good, right?" Like, if you know that this is what people are already talking about your company and the connections that you have, why would you go with this company? Am I the only crazy person who I am at the point where I genuinely can't tell. I don't think they're stupid, but they're doing a really good job of trying to make themselves look stupid. And I think it's intentional. Like when we talk about like the Erika Kirk text where they were trying to confirm that she was home on the 8th and that I forgot to take my glasses off and that she had just made dinner and Charlie was pulling in and dinner was on the table and the contact was blacked out and Candace is like, "Well, this is great. Can you just show me the contact?" And her excuse was that, it was, like, her pet name for him and she didn't want people to know it. Alright, so fucking change it. Like, we're talking about proving you weren't somewhere direly important, like, 2 days before your husband's assassination, and you, I assume, would like to be able to prove that you weren't there. You're not that stupid. You're not dumb enough to be like, "We can just block it out. She won't even think about that." Like, obviously, people are gonna be like, "You could put anyone's name could be under that little blacked out spot." So then Candace goes, "Can you just, like, either change it so I can just see the phone number or, like, do, like, a little screen recording where, like, you show me when you go into the text whose contact number it's associated with? I'll know because I have Charlie's number." Logical, right? It would take 10 seconds maximum. Do, 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 send it, whatever. And then days and days and days go by, and they send a screenshot of Charlie Kirk's, contact card from the phone. What the fuck are we doing? Obviously, obviously, Anyone can take a picture of anyone's contact in a phone. It has no association with the text message that you sent. That defeats, like, you're not that stupid, and that's like, you're not that dumb. And if you think that we are stupid enough to fall for it, I don't like, who do you think you are? Is it just me? But that's why I'm like, it can't be intentional. I mean, it can't be, like, legit. It has to be intentional, that and just a delay tactic, like, they'll forget about it or stop asking or whatever, and it's just enough to, like, shut some people up. I don't know. I'm at a point where I'm like, "You guys are acting as if" I I don't know. You're not that dumb. You're just not that dumb. And to that same day when she was like, "I need clarification that that's Charlie's number," and they're like, "Well, she's busy with the kids." Like I said, it would take 2 seconds. If you're telling me that someone who's running a massive corporation, like, okay, so you're supposed to be running TPUSA and you don't know how to take a 10-second video screen recording to prove that the text message was from Charlie Kirk's phone number, then I'm pretty sure you should not be running that company. I think that's a safe assumption. It's like every little thing they do, it's so blatantly in your face. You know what I'm saying? Like, people keep talking about, the Romanian, uh, child trafficking brothels that, by the way, the colonel that was, like, accused of the child sex trafficking brothel in Romania lives, like, an hour from me. I've tried to kinda look into that too. Um, can't find much on it, but I do find it interesting and quite astonishing that everyone is making these connections. They're talking. How many people do you guys know? I've said this before, but how many people do any of you know that have been associated with any child sex trafficking? Like, you may know of a person or you may know someone who had, like, some isolated incidents that they are, like, on a list or something, right? Like, I feel like that's a pretty common thing, unfortunately. Like, I know of 1 or 2 in, like, my general vicinity, but, like, personally, do you know of anyone who's been involved in trafficking people? Because I fucking don't, and these people are all connected, and of all places, Romania? Like, why? And so to have all this information out there and then be like, "We're gonna do this next tour with this church that's specifically connected to accusations of child sex trafficking." Huh, that sounds like no one will have any questions. Alright, so I wanted to go in and see when this tour is because I really wanted to see the tour dates and about the next event go here. Do you guys want me to share the screen? Sorry, I'm not very, not very good at this. I think I'm getting a cold too, if you guys can hear that. Super annoying. I don't feel sick, but, like, this nostril has been pouring fluid, like, just clear fluid, like, as if, like, allergies, which I don't really have, out of my face holes all day, and I don't know why. It's really annoying. Okay. Okay, this is the website. Although, well, technically it was here, so if you go to it, it's like it looks like this. And I was like, "I don't wanna sign up and register, not yet." But this here brings it to the tour stop dates, right? Where did it show them? Yeah. Oh, 5:15, Portland, Maine. See, this is how my brain works, right? So now I wanna look at all of these churches and see if there are um any things that come up having to do with these churches, right? You gotta kinda keep it in the family when you're doing sketchy things, but so, yeah, I might try to go to this. I don't know. Will it be worth it? I'm not sure, but I might take a look at it. What do you guys think? Would you go if you were within an hour? Or are any of you guys near any of these? And I'd have enough time to figure it out. And I really wanna know who's gonna be there. That would make it even more enticing. Um, yeah, let's see that. Where is it? On the previous page. Hold on. Harvest Church. Let's look up Harvest Church and their current accusations. Hey, everybody. Where are you all from? Say hi. Hi, everybody. Where's everybody located? Are you guys ready for the storm? I mean, I'm in New England, so for us, it's like, you know, every other weekend. But I do think we're kind of like right on the cusp of where the snow is going to start. So I do think we're probably going to get about a foot or so, unless it's even more than that. And how about Russia? I actually, before I go here, I was just saying to my mother this morning how I'm curious to know how many people question these large storms and if they have any assistance from the humankind, because that Russian storm was like nothing I've ever seen in my life, right? Like 10 feet of snow is absolutely bonkers. And then now the one we're about to get here, I have a feeling I'm pretty concerned about the southern states and what it's gonna do down there. Um, I don't know. I have my mother and my sister are in South Carolina, so I don't know. Those states are not cut out for ice like that or snow or anything. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, so let me share. I just want to do a Google on this church because the Harvest Church. I wonder if that's going to bring. Okay, yeah. So look at as of January 2026, California megachurch Harvest Christian Fellowship, led by Pastor Greg Laurie. Like, could you imagine if he was at the one I was able to go to? Is facing serious accusations in U.S. federal court. This isn't even just like a small thing regarding a long running alleged cover up of child sexual abuse and trafficking in Romania. Get the fuck out of here. Like, come on. It threatens to snow and the whole state shuts it. Seriously, I know. And they're like talking about even like a foot or more in like Tennessee. It's crazy. But so, okay, let's just talk totally separate business, right? Like, say you had your own business and you're like, we want to do this tour. It'll be so fun. Let's find a company we can do it with. If you're a company who has lots of employees who do lots of research and look into things for you, and you do the most simple Google search and you find this right here, are you signing up? Especially given you're already uh, under accusation of being associated with child sex trafficking in Romania, and you're going to sign up to have a tour with a church that has current non like they haven't said, oh, they're innocent accusations of child sexual abuse and trafficking in Romania, and you're going to be like, that sounds good. Are they just like spitting in our like, doesn't it feel like they're just spitting in our face? I don't understand it. This is why I say, are they this stupid? Are they seriously just this stupid? It's crazy. And everything, like everything that Erika has said has come out to just end up being like some kind of lie. Right? Like everything. Like the I never lived in China. I visited China for 2 weeks. And then Charlie Kirk's on video saying, my wife lived in China for 6 months. Plus, if you watch American Discourse News, that YouTube channel, she just did one where she covers that like recently found audition tape that Erika had submitted for I forget which show, some sort of reality show with her boyfriend at the time. And she freaking talks about having lived in China. Like, like, I don't understand. If you're someone who is in the public eye and you have been for a long time, like, there's just certain things that you can't just change. And yeah, I think they do. I think it is just like they think we're stupid and they think that they're above it. And it doesn't matter and do we know that that's true? I mean, it could be very true that it doesn't matter if we notice, because what the hell is anybody doing about anything? They're just ignoring everything or trying to silence everybody. It's just crazy to me. I don't know if you were in here when I started the live stream talking about their attorney for the death penalty case, but even the connections for that, it's like, I don't know, part of me just feels like they're picking him because he's just their go-to guy or something. Like maybe they have blackmail on him and he's the dude they need to like make everything go the way they want it. Cause like I said, granted, I think that the guy who committed the mass shooting or whatever in the synagogue deserves the death penalty. But if there's medical evidence that he had some sort of literal brain and like structural brain problems, is that not enough to be like, maybe he needs to be in a facility forever? Like, I'm not upset that he's getting the death penalty. I just feel like it makes me question. They want someone they can control, probably. I mean, it's all about control, I feel like. Everything, all of it. Because if you're not controlled, then they wanna, they do what they need to get what they want. But I just feel like the stuff that's so blatantly in your face is so wild to me. Like this church, the accusations against this church they're going on tour with, or literally name everything. I feel like every literal thing that they have talked about has been like, well, that's not actually true. Well, that's not actually true. I mean, at this point, I think it's safe to say that text message was not from Erika to Charlie or vice versa, because if it was, it would have just been like, yeah, here you go. Now leave me alone. Like, I don't know. It's just all too much. I feel like it's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long I'll stay on. Was there anything else I wanted to look at? Let me see. I can't even remember what I put in my descriptions, what I was going to talk about. Because I was still questioning if I couldn't remember if Catherine Nestor, which is one of his attorneys, was the one. Is it Catherine Nestor? If she was the one who was deemed to be supposedly Terrell Farnsworth's cousin. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it was the Michael Burt guy, and he's the one who's tried like those crazy cases. Like, yeah, gaslighting at a national level is so true. Everything is that way. Like that's why I'm even questioning this freaking storm. And if it's like if there was like immense amounts of like cloud seeding or something to try to push this to happen so that people are distracted for some reason. I actually just saw a video yesterday maybe where a lady who definitely falls in like the left side of things, at least according to what it sounded like, was talking about how apparently tomorrow is a big day where like the union supposedly is going to be participating in these protests and trying to get a, a better handle on like the civilian side of things and pushing more of like the defund ICE sort of stuff. And listen, like I find myself very much in the middle. I don't love how they're doing it. I don't know why they have to do it this way. The way they're doing it is so, to me, over the top. Like he hasn't even deported nearly as many people as Obama, and nobody even friggin' knew he was doing anything. So why are you making a big spectacle of it? Probably for some reason, right? Like just to sow discourse. You're worried about the protesters in Iran, but you're not worried about the ones here. And then the bullshit with Trump talking about Renee Good, and he was pretty rude about her in the beginning. And then he found out that her father or something was like a Trump fan. And now he's like, it's really sad. It's like, get the fuck out of here. It's so ridiculous. God, it's a joke. And it just pisses me off. But it just, the in your face, like craziness, like it's so crazy. And it just feels very intentionally crazy. And it makes me question, outside of all of this, what's happening that we're unaware of, because there's a lot happening, I'm sure, that we are unaware of. That's why I love Ian Wentz stuff, because he talks a lot more about the other stuff going on that a lot of people just don't focus on. And it takes a lot of foresight. You've got to be able to really see things at a much bigger picture, and it's hard to do sometimes. But I don't know, man. Everything feels so crazy. That's why I'm saying I don't know, like, this storm coming up is really making me get, like, vibes of, like, the hurricanes in, like, North Carolina and all that the other year, and the fires and everything. It's just feeling possibly intentional, and maybe that makes me crazy, that's fine, I don't care. Because I feel like the crazier things are, they know that we can't possibly keep up with everything. Honestly, if I was still working like a regular full-time job, there's no way I would even be able to pay attention to a fraction of the things that I pay attention to at this point now that I'm not working a full-time job. And I know that the majority of people, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Actually, Chase Hughes, I could pull it up if you guys are interested, but he had done a video very recently about 2026. He's the body language analyst. He's not really, I mean, he is a body language analyst. He's high up in the military, and he trains people in psychological operations. Like, that's actually his job. And he was talking about another event taking place in 2026, similar to the lockdowns with COVID, but instead of it being like a forced lockdown, like, it would be like a choice. Like, we would basically, without realizing it, make the choice for ourselves without being forced to do it, which obviously would be even better for them because we'd feel like we have some kind of control or something. That's what I was thinking too. Like, between an ice storm, if they knew, like, I'm just saying, right? If they knew that temperatures were going to drop, and they knew if they did enough cloud seeding that it would cause insane amounts of rain that were going to freeze immediately and take down power lines and trees. I mean, I don't know where any of you are from, but where I'm from in New England, I remember the ice storm. Hey, make the South worry about ice and snow and it will all shift down. Yeah. When I was born in '84, but in '98 we had the ice storm of '98 up here, and, at the time, I lived a little more north, and we had to, yeah, shut down, yeah. Um, we actually, even though we had a fireplace, like, we had a fireplace at our house, but we had to leave town and stay with people who were slightly more north, who were going to be, like, in a better position to maintain, like, heat for ourselves. I was young at the time, obviously, and my sister was, also young, and it was my father and my stepmother. And it was like a week we had to stay at someone, and we're like an area of the country that is prepared for stuff like that. And so I'm just imagining, like, if that type of a thing happens down south, like, I don't know how long that could potentially take people off the grid. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're talking about 3 inches of ice. Do you know how much freaking ice that is? 3 inches of ice is absolutely bonkers, and there's 0 chance. I mean, I know, like, in Florida, for instance, there's a lot of power lines that are underground now, but not all of them, and I think for the most part, the majority of the country is not in that position. So for those other places, between the cellular and Wi-Fi outages the other week and this, I don't know, man, it feels intentional. It was funny though, yeah, I had sent a text to my mother this morning saying how it was feeling a little bit, fishy to me. 10 feet of snow in Russia last week, and now we're getting this bad boy, and, as soon as I sent that to her, literally within, like, 3 minutes, Ian Carroll had posted a video about this storm coming and was like, "Yeah, as long as no one else had a hand in it." I'm like, "I swear to God, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking." I don't know, man. I just think it's so crazy. I don't trust any. It's amazing where your mind goes once you lose that trust, and, like, once you start looking into anything, and the problem is too, people think you're crazy, but when you start looking into all of the things that they've done to us over the course of all of our history, them meaning like the government or the CIA or the FBI, whatever, fill in the blank. It's like nothing's off the table, dude, ever. Because it's actually funny because when I originally started recording videos, I had started on a separate channel, which was a channel I had started for like my podcast and true crime stuff. And I wasn't consistent at all, but I had also done like a few other things on there. So the algorithm was like, who the hell are you? And didn't know what to do with me. But one of the videos I had done was about the beginnings of the CIA and like why it was started and who started it. And essentially, it was started during World War One, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was World War One because, or just after World War One, because at the time there were too many departments trying to get information to the president, and they're all coming with different people and they're going directly to him, and it was like too much. And so he had created this department for heads of the other departments to go to provide like a rundown of the important information, and then the CIA, which was named something else at the time, was to take that information, decide what was most important, and bring that information to him. Makes sense. And then after World War II, they were like, well, we don't really need this department necessarily anymore. And that's when they kind of transitioned, and they had told the CIA, whatever it was called at the time, that they could continue running their department, their whatever, but that they were no longer basically like an arm of the government. So it was specified. This is right on their website. So like you can go on the CIA's website where it's like the about us shit, right? And basically it says how when that conversion happened, essentially they were given the permission to work outside of government laws and regulations, but they also were not part of the government. So essentially you created this department of people that now has like they can make their own rules. And that's essentially when like all the crazy shit started happening, like the MK Ultra and like all the other stuff. All of that started happening after that disconnect. And like at that moment I was like, well, that makes freaking sense, right? Like they were basically like, go ahead, do whatever you want, police whoever you want, you know, perform whatever, programs and whatever you want, and you're not really part of the government, but you don't really have to follow regular laws either. So what did they think was gonna happen? You know what I mean? Um, I should probably find that video, maybe put it on this channel, I don't know. Um, but yeah, oh yeah. I moved I moved a couple of my skulls. I didn't get them all. I've had people think that I'm like a Satan worshiper because of my home goods Halloween decorations. And they said, "Oh, and what about the swine up there? Is that like a sacrificial swine? You mean this freaking adorable? Can we look at it? I'm backwards and it's weird. He's missing an ear though. This guy is so freaking cute. And it was my Nana's, and my Nana passed away 5 years ago. I have the ear somewhere so I can fix it. And after she passed away, everyone got dibs on like like little things like this she had like roosters and cows and pigs. She loved like all the farm animals. And so we all got to snag some. And I think he's so cute. He's not demonic at all. He's adorable. He's so cute. I have to fix him. But I just think it's so funny. It's so weird to me how like, because I consider myself, I guess, on the semi-conservative side in a sense, but, like, I definitely lean more conservative than I do liberal, but it's just so funny to me how it's like there's so much of that, like, religious, like, if you're not this, then you must, like, have been taken over by the devil. I don't understand it. I have no problem with anybody's religion. You can be whatever you want as long as it makes you a better person. If you're a dick because of it, then you're probably not using it right. But I just realized I was like, "Oh, I think I cleared out all the skulls," and then I see this one and these ones. But it's because my channel was, like, true crime and paranormal before, so I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, and crows are cool, man. If you've never looked up crows and the cool shit they do, Those birds are incredible. Like, I just want a crow to come to my deck so I can, like, train it and have it be like my buddy. Although, have you ever heard them talk? Have any of you ever heard crows talk? Like, I am straight up sold on the fact that anybody who has any of those, like, true scary stories from, like, hiking in the woods and they hear crazy voices, it's gotta be a freaking crow, man, because they're insane sounding. And if you've never looked it up, you should look it up because it's crazy, but they're so smart. Like, they'll figure out puzzles and stuff, like, they're really smart. Super cool birds. Anyway, I don't know. Is there anything you guys wanna talk about? Anybody else? Anyone? I mean, I didn't mean that as if you're not allowed to talk anymore. I just mean, like, is there anything else you guys would wanna look at or talk about? Let me know, otherwise, I'll probably wrap it up soon. I'm gonna be back tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. I'm gonna definitely record some more tomorrow. Maybe I'll try to go live. I don't really know how well they do on Fridays. But with this storm coming, I'm imagining a lot of people are like hunkering down and like getting ready. I'll be curious to see what some of the updates are going to be tomorrow from some of the meteorologist channels that I follow. Although also separately, if we wanted to go the route of like maybe there wasn't human interference, the sun has been pretty freaking crazy and doing some wild shit. And that definitely can impact things like the weather and earthquakes and volcanoes. So I don't know. Could be the sun too. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But I'll have to pull up Stefan Burns' page because he's my go-to geophysicist for sun stuff. See if he has any opinion on the Russia snowstorm. Have you guys seen the pictures? Maybe I'll pull them up just for funsies because they're crazy. I wasn't sure at first if this stuff was, um, if the pictures that I was seeing were AI, but they're not. I've heard different things about like, it's the biggest storm they've seen in 140 years or 60 years or whatever, but like these are real pictures. This one I think is not. This one looks pretty fucking wild. But some of these too, where they're like digging down to their cars and they've dug down like 10 feet. But look at this. This is like a freaking street level business. That's the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like this dude's standing next to a street light. I also saw another video where a dude jumped out of the window of his 5th story level apartment into a snowbank. That's how high up this snow is. Like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I will say, I do feel like as a kid, we saw a lot more snow than I see now, but I'm also slightly more south from where I grew up. But this is the craziest stuff I've ever seen. This is crazy. This is the entrance to a massive apartment building, and look at this snow. How does this happen? Could you imagine if that was rain, though? And what's gonna happen when it all melts? Look at that. That's another business. There were some pictures I definitely saw where they were, like, getting close to their car, but it was still, like, 8 feet below them or something. It was so crazy. I've never seen anything like it. I can't look at this. Look at this. Look at where the car is. Obviously, because of snow drifts. I mean, when you get 10 feet of snow, imagine how tall the snow are. What do you do if you're in this apartment? Like, do you, like, reach out to the people 2 stories up and be like, "If you start shoveling, I'll meet you in the middle?" Like, what do you do? And I was thinking, like, obviously, like, here they have electrical stuff above ground, so I'm guessing that they don't have I mean, I don't know what that means in the way of, like, their power and things like that, but I just can't even imagine how long it would take for things to get back to normal from this. This is the craziest thing ever. So crazy. Could you imagine? I don't know, there's no way this is real, right? There's no way this is real. No, that's fake. But this is insane. I bet these kids are so pumped. Should we try to find the video of the guy jumping out? Is this it? Let's see if it has the oh, yeah, here it is. I love this store. That's a good point. It's the only way out. How do you get back in, though? 146 years. See, that's what they said. I would believe 146 years. That I don't believe. This looks like bullshit, but this is insane. I feel like it's gotta feel so surreal. That's crazy. Oh, so speaking of the one we're supposed to be getting here, the one of the channels that I do follow said essentially, so we're gonna get all of this, ice and rain, and the temperatures are going to be really low. So, like, we're looking at, like, South Carolina in the 20s, below freezing, and after the storm is over, um, he said that it's still going to be multiple days below freezing, and that's going to trigger possibly a follow-up storm. So, he said he's not getting into that yet. We'll focus on the current one, but, like, there's a chance that there'll be another one right behind it. Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? I know it sounds dramatic, but I'm telling you, I mean, I've seen what little snow does to southern states. I can't imagine what it's gonna do with ice and everything. I don't know, man. I hope, you guys who are in here are all safe and prepared. My husband works in a grocery store. I also work in a grocery store, so my part-time job, I decorate cakes, and I'm just thinking, "Holy God, these I don't work for a few days." I can't fathom what it's gonna be like in those stores. It's bad enough when they're like, "We're gonna get a dusting of snow," and everyone's like, "We need bread and eggs and milk." And now I can't imagine. I cannot imagine what people are going to be doing to prepare. Although, oddly enough, my husband works much further north and drives that every day, and they're supposed to be getting less than because it's down south. We don't even really know how much we'll actually get. We're expecting maybe a foot, but I don't know. I'm more concerned about, like, my mother and my sister and her husband and kids, but we shall see what happens. So, well, I'm probably gonna finish up, but, if you guys enjoyed the live stream, let me know. Give me a like, subscribe, follow the channel. I'll definitely plan to go live again. I've gone live a few times, and the first one was really successful, had lots of chatting and conversation and stuff, it was great. And then the next few, I don't know if it's just bad timing, I just didn't have as much interaction, so I didn't really spend too much time on there. But if we get into a routine and people are enjoying it, then I love doing it. I like being able to chat with people live, in real time. So, um, but yeah, subscribe, like, share, and, we'll talk again soon. I'm gonna do some more stuff tomorrow that I'll upload and take a look at those videos that I posted today so you can see, like, the specifics on, like, the information that, that shooter was posting on that. I wish that I could get into that in the Wayback Machine and see his posts, but I don't think that really works for social media sites because I feel like some people have talked about being able to go on and see, like, past Instagram posts and stuff, but it has never worked for me when I've tried to do it. I feel like it's, like, too specific of, like, like, they take screenshots and stuff of the pages and whatnot at the time, but when you have individual people posting, I don't really know how that works on that. It is kind of a weird, almost archaic kind of a site. It makes it kind of tricky to figure out how to navigate it. I'm sure maybe I'll get better at it, but yeah. So if anybody has any information about Terrell Farnsworth, if he's the cousin of the attorney and who said that initially, please let me know so I can look a little closer and pull up that video again and try and get some more confirmation because I feel like that will make it even crazier if he is for sure connected to them and these other cases would be really interesting for sure, especially if there's any connection between him and, like, Erika Kirk's parents, given their positions in their careers and the people they probably were associated with and the influence that they probably had and the ability they probably had to force outcomes given those kinds of positions in the government and stuff like that. So, yeah. Um, if you're just hopping in, I'm probably getting ready to sign off here, but if you wanted to rewatch, this will be posted again. I'll probably take it and maybe cut up a little bit of it and repost it, but it'll be a little repetitive since I just made those other videos today, so I don't really wanna waste people's time. But I really enjoyed it. I thank you all for being here, and, I'll talk to you again tomorrow probably. So I hope you have a good night. If you need to get prepared for a storm, do so. Take it seriously because you just never know, especially if you're somewhere southern and you're not, in a place that's used to it. Even if you're used to it, there's going to be lots of people who aren't used to it. And we all know what that can create. I don't know about you guys. I don't know where anybody on here is from. I'm going to go on a tangent again. Watch. I have noticed locally, and I live in a very rural place in New England. It's like small towny, I mean, we have our problems that are getting more prominent every year, and they're trying to constantly build new apartment buildings and basically kick out locals because all the apartment buildings are like $5,000 for rent, and it's insane. Um, but, uh, we have had a ton of pedestrians being hit by cars. Like, I get it, like, cell phones are distracting, but we have had cell phones distracting us for years now. I don't understand why there's a marked difference this year. It's crazy to me. It's literally like once a week, we have a pedestrian getting hit by a car locally. Is anybody else seeing weird stuff like that? Because it's crazy to me. We had one construction worker got hit on the highway. We had another individual on a highway on a bridge get hit by a car, which is weird. And then we've had like 4 or 5 pedestrians that are just like walking on a regular back road get hit by cars. Multiple have died. We also had a local student crossing the crosswalk to go into the high school. She's 17. I assume she's okay, but she was crossing a crosswalk in a freaking wheelchair, and a teacher going into the school hit her. She was in the crosswalk. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, I don't even understand what's going on right now. Why does this keep happening? Like, I get that stuff like this happens sometimes, but I swear to God, I think that there have been like 7 in the last like couple of months, which is freaking nuts. Like, I don't live in a big city. I literally live in a small town. So what the hell is going on? And everyone just says, "Oh, people are distracted with their phones." Well, yeah, and they have been for like the last 10 years. What's different now? I'd be curious to know if anybody else is noticing similar stuff. Maybe it is just like an overwhelming amount of crap going on and people can't keep up with it, but I don't know. All right, I'll leave now, guys. I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic night. Stay safe, stay warm, and I will see you all again very soon. Good night.